Hey guys, welcome back to the Unsavvy Budgeter. So for this video, we're focusing on restarting our debt-free journey, somewhat restarting. I know that we haven't been consistent with budgeting and tracking everything, and we've taken a hiatus for, quite a few months. So we're really trying to get back on track. And when I started this debt-free journey on YouTube, I have shared with you guys that I have failed many times and tried to just restart. And essentially, this is kind of what happened again. A lot was going on in our lives, and we decided to just take a break from it. And now we're trying to get organized again and just start. So I didn't want to get hung up on the fact that I missed tracking all the previous months. Instead, I just wanted to dive into where we stand with February and see how our expenses was. We didn't set a budget for February. We weren't tracking our spending. So since it was the end of the month, I decided that I would kind of just brave it and look into seeing how we did with our expenses and what we spent on. So I don't always really like to jump into a spreadsheet. I actually just felt overwhelmed and anxious about restarting all over again. So I just started on paper again. So with my notebook, I just literally wrote down all the expenses I had for the month of February, and I started categorizing them based on categories that we already have, like household, food, subscriptions and things like that, and color coordinated all the different spending categories in my notebook. So with that said, the damage for the month of February, we had about $2,800 in miscellaneous spending. A lot of that doesn't account for our utilities and our mortgage payments or anything like that. It was just really just spending. So with that said, I did want to kind of go over just percentage wise how we did. And looking at it now, I'm seeing that we had our biggest category with our debt payoff, paying off a little over $5,100. And I'm glad that that came in as number one. I was really worried that the spending was going to outweigh the debt payoff. So yeah, our debt payoff coming in first at about 38% of our budget. So I'm really happy to see that and seeing that we're still tackling the credit card debt and not letting it get out of hand. Second, we had a lot of household spending, close to 32%. And a lot of that is expected. My husband and I are still getting our home situated. We've been doing furniture shopping and things like that, and just getting things that we needed for the house. So that wasn't a big surprise there. In third place being food. That includes grocery shopping, dining out. So that comes in at close to 14% of our overall spending. And everything else kind of just tapers off to, 4% and lower. So it wasn't too bad as I expected, but now we're really just trying to make sure that we have a budget in mind for for March, and that we're going to try and, challenge ourselves to stick to that budget. And we also want to make sure that, we have a strategy for tackling the credit card debt. I think this time around on this debt-free journey, I found myself very scared of paying interest again. I just got through last year with paying off my credit card debt and really tackling, those interest payments. And this time around, I have credit card debt, but I have not let it get out of hand where I'm having crazy interest payments. Like I've said in my last video, I only had one interest payment come up so far, and that's really been the only one that has shown up for this year and essentially majority of 2021. So I'm really happy with that I'm not getting back into my old habits. So that's really February, diving into March, I'm happy to have a fresh start. So with just going over these tables, some of you have seen this budget overview template before. We're trying to use that again to really just keep us organized and on track. So we have this first table with the income sources. We have our projected paychecks coming in a little over 11,500. No side hustles. We really haven't been pushing that, so we're not expecting anything for that this month. Reimbursements, we have $120. That is consistent every month. I get that from my work for reimbursing on our cell phone bill as well as our internet bill, which is great. And then we have our rental income that is coming from our previous home. And that gives us, a grand total of about $14,000 to work with for the month of March. We had an existing balance in our checking accounts already, so we listed that here. And then we have the income added to that, which gives us a total available balance of close to $18,800. And then in the middle, we have this yellow table that goes over what needs to be budgeted. So we have that available balance listed here. We used to do a safety buffer. We're not worrying about that right now, but eventually over time, we want to add that safety buffer back in once we have a handle on paying off our credit card debt. And then we have the expected beginning of the month expenses with our mortgages. So that's covered here. So yeah, and then we have the remainder here of the $2,000 that hasn't been budgeted for. And that's really set aside to pay off the credit card debt. So with that said, this is the different categories that we have. Number one being debt payoff at the top, and then we have our other expenses, miscellaneous expenses, which we budgeted for $2,300 about. Life events, $1,500 there. Food at $500, that's grocery shopping and dining out. We have our utilities for the month that we budgeted close to $500 for. Personal spend, that's coming in at about almost $450. Transportation, that's mainly for gas for our car that we're using, so $150. We decided to budget a little bit more just because of gas prices going up, so we wanted to make sure that we gave ourselves a little buffer there. Pet care, $114, that stays consistent every month for grooming sessions for our dog. And then we have savings of $105. Gifts for upcoming birthdays, we have set aside $100. Our sinking funds are pretty much depleted. So that's something that I've kept in the back of my mind that I want to get going in the future. But for now, we're just really focusing on budgeting for what we need and paying off credit card debt. And then we'll start looking into adding the sinking funds back in. Health and beauty is $70. Subscriptions is about $65. And that covers everything that we budgeted for. So with that said, because it's a brand new month, this pie chart that you see here is actually documenting what we budgeted for the month. So these pieces of the pie chart is in order from most to least budgeted. Number one being household expenses. We budgeted 32% for that. And second place is a little over 21% for debt payoff. Third is other at 19%. I didn't explain this earlier, but other is actually, we're just taking our rental income that we're getting and we're setting that aside to contribute to my niece and nephew's college funds. That's part of, what I promised to do for the help that we've been given in purchasing this home. So we're very thankful for our family for that. So that's what this other category is. And yeah, as you guys can see here, all the rest of the categories are broken down here. And that's what we really have so far for wrapping up February and what we have in mind for March. So that's it for this video. I wanted to try to keep it on the shorter side, but some upcoming videos that we have is going over more in depth about just our debt that we have accumulated. Obviously, it's increased over time, so I really wanted to go over that and talk about my strategy there about tackling the credit card debt again. And then we have videos that we want to start doing that is going to compare the cost of living that we faced in California compared to Georgia. So just going over the differences in utilities and things like that to see how they differ. We're definitely curious to really dig into that as well. And we thought it would be fun to just talk about, you know, our life here in Georgia since we moved cross country and how that move has been for us. So hopefully those are some things that you guys will be interested in viewing. But thank you so much for sticking with me throughout this journey. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. So if you did, don't forget to continue to like my videos, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and definitely leave a comment. I am loving all the interaction, and I must say that I am so happy to see so many of you from the beginning of my journey have still stuck around to this day. So it's been really nice to really reconnect with you guys. So thank you so much, and I look forward to catching you guys in the next video.